Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's my privilege, my pleasure, truthfully, to be in your presence and to have this time with you this Tuesday evening. Every week I like to say I'm still Dr. Arnold Nerenberg. I've been licensed to practice clinical psychology in the state of California since 1974. And I've been licensed to walk upon this earth since 1941, so it makes me 83 years old. This knowledge and inspirations and insights I've had over my lifetime are meant to uplift you for all the days of your life, and hopefully for you to pass this knowledge down to your children, your grandchildren, nieces and nephews, to be able to help them for the rest of their lives by being able to share this knowledge with them. The title of today's presentation is Family, Betrayal, and Forgiveness, A Journey of Honor. Family, Betrayal, and Forgiveness, A Journey of Honor. I know something about every one of you, without exception. You've been betrayed in your life. No question about it. You've been betrayed in your life by someone you trusted, someone close. In fact, some of you have also betrayed others. Some of us have betrayed others. And it's painful. It's painful. It makes people hesitant to trust. Many of the people I see, I have to score from 1 to 10 how much problem they have trusting. Probably the average score is a 7 or 8 in terms of difficulty to trust. And that's from betrayals. People feel betrayed often by an immediate family member. People feel betrayed in their religious organizations. People feel betrayed by their elected officials and the government. But it does not have to ruin our lives. It doesn't have to impair our ability to trust and form good, healthy, strong relationships with other people. It doesn't have to do that, and I'm going to show you the way to do it. And the way to do it is through the way of honor, and I'm going to be talking about how to do this. So I'm going to give you very practical, usable, down-to-earth skills that you'll be able to use in your daily life. You'll be able to use it in your daily life, whatever your situation is. Now, when I ask people, what is your purpose in life? Many people never thought about that. But every session, without fail, one of the questions I ask, what is the purpose of your life? A universal answer, probably 99% of the people, it'll come down, and sometimes I have to suggest this to them, it doesn't necessarily come to their minds. Family and honor. The purpose of almost everyone's life, for yourself and people that you know, family and honor. So those betrayals within the family, now the betrayals within the family have to do with feeling abandoned. I know many cases where the father abandoned the family, sometimes the mother, but I hear more cases of the father. I know many people who never even met their father. They were betrayed early in life. The person they trusted vanished. I know of one case, a young boy when he was 5, I saw him as a man in his 30s. When he was 5, his father came to see him because he was separated or divorced from the mother. He said, wait a minute, son, let me go, I got to pick up some cigarettes. So he said, I'll be right back and we'll go out. Well, son waited. The father never came back. He never saw his father again. I have men that have left their children, and some who didn't even know who their fathers were, And I've known a number of people, number of really good people who in their 30s, late 20s, 30s, find out from a relative, your father would like to talk to you again. Your father would like to be part of your life again. Are you open to meeting him? A lot of times they don't want to. They've been so hurt. They say, no, where was he when I needed him? Some I was able to talk to and they were able to reach a level of forgiveness. Because that's what we're talking about. Family, betrayal, and forgiveness, a journey of honor. And I would say, look, I know you went through that pain, but you have children. Maybe he'll be a better grandfather than he was father. And many of the people I've talked to went on to then meet their fathers in that situation. So I'm going to talk to you about how to get past the hurt and anger. And when you get past hurt and anger, it doesn't mean you have to be around the person who betrayed you. You may forgive them. You may even love them at a distance. You may decide it's just too painful to risk, given what you know about them, you don't want to take that risk. That's your decision. But the way of forgiveness will lighten your own heart. I'm not saying the person deserves forgiveness or doesn't. You deserve to forgive. You deserve that. I deserve that. I've had betrayals in my life, and I certainly deserved forgiving the person. I had one patient come to me. He was a big, tough, strong guy who called the roughneck. He worked in the oil fields, tatted up to his neck, very macho guy. Came in. I could see he wanted to cry, but he was holding it back. I said, Doc, I've lost everything. My wife betrayed me. She left me for another man. She betrayed me, Doc. In addition to that, she took my children with her. I don't even know whether I haven't seen my children or my wife in 3 months. I was so stressed out at my work from this loss that I couldn't attend my work-related responsibilities, didn't make my mortgage payments. I lost my house. So the betrayal of my wife, leaving me for another man, taking the children, led to me even losing my house. I've lost everything. Well, I said to him this. I said, what if I told you that there's a best true story you can tell yourself about this that would add dignity, nobility, and honor to your life? Nobility, dignity, and honor to your life. He said, Doc, what is that? Tell me. I said, are you ready for the healing medicine? He said, yes, I am. So you're ready to hear the best true story that'll help you have dignity, nobility, and honor in your life? Yes, I am. Okay? Here it is. Ready? I've lost everything, but I've gained myself. I've lost everything, but I've gained myself. And when I said that, his face went from so pained looking, he started lighting up. He said, I've gained myself. And he just lightened up. At the end of the session, he was just floating out of my office. In fact, when he was leaving, went to my secretary, he said, you know, I've lost everything, but I've gained myself. And he walked out very uplifted, elated even. Still didn't have his wife. She still betrayed him. Still didn't have his children or his house. Well, and going to the best true story, there's a forgiveness inherent in that. Because he could say, the next step would say, I'm grateful she left me because it gave me myself. I'm so grateful. I mean, in addition to the loss, which was horrible, I'm grateful because it helped me have myself. So that gratitude for what he gained is a type of forgiveness. There's a forgiveness in that gratitude. So to do this, whenever you want to forgive somebody, you can say, I forgive you. You could also take it another step, one of the commandments of honor, I wish you well. You can even combine them. I forgive you and I wish you well. Or if you love the person, you go, I forgive you. I wish you well. I love you. You're saying that to yourself. I'm grateful for the gain I've made from this. I can see the gain. And I can even see somewhat how I co-created the situation. One of the commandments of honor, I take full responsibility for co-creating my reality and my problems. Now, when I'm teaching you these things, you need to know I walk the walk. I don't just tell you about this honestly. I test this all out on me before I bring it to you. And this system of the way of honor, the honor teachings, extremely powerful, allows you to reframe all negative experiences in the most constructive way possible. In fact, we're able to integrate our gains and our losses, our joys and our sorrows into a constructive perspective, which is really my definition of wisdom. So honor is a pathway to wisdom. I'll tell you a story of my own life. It was a struggle. And I'm telling you, not that you'll be in this situation ever, but you'll be in something similar. But the principles that I applied will apply to you. It'll apply to you. So my father worked since he was 12 years old, supported his mother, never graduated high school, worked hard, made a lot of money. When he passed away, he left the money to my mother, as he should. And then my sister, who then moved in with her, supposedly to take care of her, but really enriched herself at that time, exploited my mother's vulnerability. And in the long run, I saw this going on for years where they were manipulating and making arrangements financially and doing things. I was powerless to stop it. And I felt very betrayed. It was hard to believe it was going on because we had a lot of loyalty in the family. My mother, my father, some of my aunts were very loyal people. But my sister was doing this and justified it in whatever way she justified it. So I came up, at that time I called it power thoughts. This was many years ago. I love you, I forgive you, and I'm going to sue you. So when we follow the way of honor, and the forgiveness doesn't mean that we don't seek justice or seek to neutralize the damage. So I did sue, got some of the money. I was still out a great fortune of money, about $2 million. I love you, I forgive you, and I'm going to sue you. So after the lawsuit was off the table. It was just, I love you and I forgive you. So there was no grudge, but it was hard to pretend. She'd come over or whatever. She and my wife had a close relationship. And I said to her, at that time, I'd been a felon myself. I had some issues I had with the federal government, and I wasn't getting paid them. A lot of workers' comp claims, so I overbilled on others and was arrested for that, the whole thing. So I said to my sister, I said, Phyllis, you're a thief, but I don't look down on you. I said, I'm a thief myself, but I had the good fortune to be caught. You're getting away with it, and that's very dangerous for you spiritually. I mean, she was a very religious person, went to church every day. Maybe for forgiveness for what she was doing. I don't look down on you. I'm a thief myself, but I had the good fortune to be caught. And your problem is you didn't get caught. There's nothing stopping you. So then about 4 years ago, her husband died about 9 years ago. Then she died about 4 years ago. The money she stole, she left to her stepchildren. So, she made sure I didn't receive that money. Well, what's the best true story I can tell myself about that problem? To be honest with you, I got to understand what my real inheritance was. It was not the money, although certainly the money I did get at certain times was helpful. It was my father's character, my mother's character. From my father, I inherited a compassion, a wisdom. It's priceless, a compassion, a wisdom, a love for people. That was my real inheritance. My mother had a love of nature and a deep smile. I had that deep smile from her and that love of nature from Mom. That's my real inheritance. That's my eternal inheritance. My sister had all that money. She was rich, and she can't take that with her. But you can take with you honor, compassion, love. Those attributes may affect the light that we emanate as we go on as souls, eternal souls. So the best true story was I saw what my true inheritance was. But then for a long time I was thinking, I said, I'm not able to say one good thing about my sister because generous things she did for people, whatnot, in my mind was, well, she got the money from my parents, and a lot of it, half of it she's giving away is my money. And so I was never able to see the good in what she was doing. And I knew that was a problem for me. So then one day, I thought of something. I said, I said to my wife, if I become destitute and broke, I'm positive that my sister would have taken me in, fed me, given me home and shelter. I know she would have done that. So I found the good thing about my sister that I love. I talk to her every night. I pray for her just like I do my mom and dad and mother-in-law, father-in-law, grandparents, great-grandfather, a few other people as well. Every night, talk to them, tell them I love them, appreciate them, and thank them. So the best true story absolutely essential. Now, another way to enter the realm of forgiveness, besides saying I forgive you or I wish you well, I love you, is this one. This is one of 25 laws of honor. I hope to respond much more to your vulnerability than your negativity. I hope to respond much more to your vulnerability than your negativity. So, what was beneath my sister's doing that? I think she thought my parents had helped me more than they did. I made a lot of my own money. She and her husband were not, they were just marginally employable, really. And so she thought I was getting monies that I wasn't getting from them. So I think she wanted to make sure she wasn't being treated unfairly. I think she had that going on. Also, I think she felt jealous of me and sibling rivalry. I think she felt as the firstborn and as the son that I was preferred by my parents. I don't think I was, but she felt that. And so I think she felt neglected and hurt. She felt neglected and hurt. So it's a work in process to still respond to that vulnerability. I hope to respond much more to your vulnerability than your negativity. Negativity was she had to do a lot of lying and conniving for many years to pull off that heist that she did on the inheritance. I hope to respond much more to your vulnerability than your negativity. Now, I have a patient, wonderful, wonderful young lady. Her sister was always competitive with her. And the sister said, no, you have a nicer butt, nicer boobs than I do. Anyway, one day, she exposed herself, in terms of her breasts, to this woman's husband. And the husband was very surprised, and he turned away from it, didn't pursue her. But the sister was very upset. She was very upset with that sister. She felt very betrayed by her. So we talked about the forgiveness one. She came to forgive her, but doesn't want to be around her and doesn't want her husband around her, understandably so, but forgives her. She just came to straight forgiveness. I can just tell you many, many cases of people's journey into forgiveness. What I want to do is people betray not only each other, they betray their ideals, whatever set of values. I mean, how many people have strong religious values and react against their teachings? It's called being a hypocrite. Very, very common. So people betray God. They're betraying their covenant with God to obey His commandments. So people betray at all levels. They betray people, their ideals, God, their employees, their employers, their friends. Betrayal is pretty universal. And so the knowledge that I'm sharing with you applies to all the situations in terms of other human beings. In terms of God, we ask for forgiveness and aspire to sin no more. Well, this has been my pleasure to present to you Family Betrayal and Forgiveness, a Journey of Honor. And I want to open it up to our excellent people who are here. I want you to speak up, ask questions, comments, keeping in mind that what you have to say is as helpful as what I'm saying, or even more helpful, because it makes other people feel less alone with their struggles and helps people feel part of a community. So whatever you're saying, whatever you bring to the table now, there's much gratitude from all the others.
How many years did it take you to forgive your sister?
So the question is asked, how many years did it take me to forgive my sister? It was pretty quick. I love you, I forgive you, but and I'm going to sue you. So I was determined to seek justice. So I knew that the resentment would damage me. But it was deeply, deeply disturbing, upsetting, because I always counted on my inheritance. I never had a retirement plan or anything. I always thought, well, when I get old or I want to retire. Well, it turns out I really don't want to retire, ever. And just take good care of my health and made money on my own. I'm grateful that the way my parents did help me out in my younger years, but I had the foundation to be very successful financially on my own right. And that's been actually satisfying. That money, another part of the best true story is if I had gotten that money, I think it would have weakened me. It would have softened me. Plus, money goes through my fingers. I'm very generous and impulsive. I mean, I would have spent it pretty quickly, I'm sure. So now I make really good money, turn over control to my wife, who likes to hold on to the money. So we've gotten ahead.
Besides your sister, who's the closest person to you that betrayed you?
Well, the question is, besides my sister, who's the closest person to me? Well, there's nobody. I mean, the biggest betrayal, one of the biggest betrayals was my ex-wife, but I don't want to go into that right now. I've talked about that at times. But that was a big betrayal and extremely painful. Yeah, very difficult one. So I've been betrayed at many levels. I've been very betrayed in business, betrayed in my personal life, and it brought me to greater insights, greater spiritual growth. To be honest with you, I'm grateful for it all. I had some business people that were working for me, other psychologists who ripped off me in my practice, probably for $80,000. So they left the practice. Some of the patients went with them, many of them. And so I started seeing everybody myself, which I thought would be impossible to see the number of people that I would be seeing, and became extremely successful beyond my wildest imagination. So I like to say they made me, those thieves, in a way they were thieves, made me a rich man. In fact, I saw one of them recently at a seminar. I went up, shook his hand, asked about him and his family, and I kind of think, I let him know it all worked out for the best for me. I didn't want to say to him, thanks for making me a rich man. I didn't take it that far, but I reached out. And then when the seminar ended that we were at, he came over to me and thanked me for coming over to him. So I've had many betrayals. You've had betrayals. Each one of you have had betrayals. I betrayed the trust of the government. I was overbilling them because I wasn't getting billed half the time on the workers' comp. That was a betrayal. I betrayed the trust of the government in me. I tell people I wouldn't be half the man I am today if I wasn't a felon who repented. So I don't stand in judgment too much. I stand in awe of the growth that it's stimulated in me. And as a believer in God, I say, God, I'm extremely grateful for the gift of trials and tribulations and betrayals that brought me closer to you. I'm extremely grateful, God, I'm extremely grateful for the gift of the trials and tribulations and betrayals that brought me closer to you. If you look at all the divine teachers throughout history, they were betrayed by someone close to them, either a disciple, a cousin, a sibling. It's throughout history of all the divine teachers. We know about what happened with Judas, but you also had Buddha, his cousin. I mean, it goes on and on and on. So it's been my pleasure to present this to you. This has been, and I've talked about my own self only to illustrate pointers to you. Pointers that you can apply to your life in your way. That's why I shared that with you. So, I'd like to hear from you so that other people can benefit from your thoughts and your experiences. Again, keeping in mind that people benefit as much or more from each other as you do from me.
Dr. Nerenberg, this is Fernando.
Fernando, welcome, Fernando.
Thank you. I just want to share an experience I had with betrayal. So I did a strength assessment for my work not that long ago, and it showed my number one strength was actually loyalty. When the person from HR did the kind of the overview and highlights, she said that was a really rare strength for people to have, especially number one. Right. She started putting things in perspective and things like that. And once she started basically putting things in perspective, she made me realize that when people do have that strength, kind of higher, as a characteristic of their personality or something like that, the way they deal with betrayal is a lot different than other people who maybe don't have it that high up as a strength. So I just think a lot of it is perspective. And for me, I know you're a man of faith. I think that's what helped me kind of deal with that better, that, when I was betrayed, being quick to forgive and not to say you have to have a relationship with people, but just forgiving and praying for them, which is hard. But it helps you kind of cope with it and kind of not internalize it as much, than you would if you didn't kind of turn to a more divine approach, I guess.
Well, all the divine teachers told us not to love our friends, but to love our enemies. That's very universal. So we aspire to that. And loyalty is amazing. That's an amazing character. By the way, I'm very loyal. My father is, my wife is, my mother. So I grew up around that. And my wife grew up with that. So we have that tremendous loyalty. And it's great to hear that you have that as a primary characteristic. So you're less likely to betray than others, which is wonderful. And that you seek to respond with forgiveness. And being a person of faith helps. Not everyone is a person of faith, but they can find their own way to forgive or certainly wish people well and to ask what's the best true story they can tell themselves about the problem, even if they're not a person of faith, as we are. Excellent, Fernando. Thank you. Excellent. And I'm glad to hear you're a person of faith. Just hearing that makes me trust you more. That's really the effect that had. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to open this up to others. Please feel free to say something or ask a question, either one.
Hi, Dr. Nerenberg. This is Emily.
Emily, good. I'm glad you're speaking up, Emily. Great.
Hi, yeah, so I could talk about a little bit about betrayal with me and a family member. My mother and I have had a strained relationship for most of my life. And she has betrayed me in many ways, from money, trust, to letting, my stepdad mistreat me, choosing him over me in ways as a child, because they were alcoholics. There's so much of the story that I could go into, but the thing is that my mom is an alcoholic, and I am the oldest daughter. And I have been the most mistreated by her. My sister, who is 5 years younger than me, is really good with boundaries and separating my mom. And I'm kind of like the person, I want to believe in people and have always been supportive.
Well, you want to believe in people and you don't want to reject people. And you don't want to judge people. I know you, Emily. You're a beautiful, beautiful human being. So I know that makes it tougher. Makes it tougher. Makes it harder in a lot of ways.
It does. And there was times when I had to cut her out of my life because it was so stressful for me, especially when my boys were very little.
Now, the key is when we have to push somebody out, we can also say to ourselves, I love you and I wish you well. I just can't be around you right now, saying that to yourself.
And
Yeah.
as time has gone on and getting older, that's been my thought process, rather than I just am so weak, I can't deal with you, you're draining me. And then I would let her back into my life, and there was these cycles and the continued abuse. And this last time that I've put the boundaries of separating communication, because she doesn't understand how to treat me. It's like a drain to me and my mental health and me as a mother. But I feel the same way. I wish her well. I love her so much. And
that's all you can do. That's all you can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
When we walk the way of honor, and the way which includes the forgiveness, we forgive, we love, and then we just may say, at this time, I can't be around this person. I just can't handle that at this time in my life. And maybe you'll never be able to handle it. I mean, that's a really, when you're dealing with alcoholics, that's difficult. Of course, some people are nice drunks, some are mean drunks, some are sad drunks, but particularly a mean drunk, that's tough.
Yeah, it has been.
Well, Emily, thank you so much. I know a lot of our people here have had alcoholism in their family, felt betrayed by it, been hurt by it. And so you're sharing that as a great gift to everybody. Thank you, Emily. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, doctor.
Yes, who's speaking?
Adrian.
Adrian.
So I had a situation, right? One of my friends betrayed me, and it's been about 2.5 years.
He betrayed you in what way?
I don't want to really get into details, but she just something I never thought she would do.
Okay.
And she did it, and right away she tried to deny the fact that she was the culprit of the situation. So it's been about 2.5 years, and recently she popped up at my door. How long? Like I still feel. I'm still mad at her, I guess. But when she popped up on my door, I did talk to her, and I heard her out, and I just how long is the process? Like, is there a time limit of how long I should be mad at her, or like?
Well, some people say time heals all things. I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
No, I don't think so. You want to wish her well. Doesn't mean you have to be friends with her. Yeah, we're gonna wish her well. Maybe look at what was the best true story that you can tell yourself about the betrayal. I mean, the betrayal is real and it's negative. It's real. We're not in denial. Wait, look at what gain, what good thing came of that. That would help you if you could do that for yourself. In fact, I'll ask you this. Was there any good thing that came out of that betrayal in some way? Directly or indirectly?
No, not really. Not really.
Well, think about it. I've always found if you think about it, you find something. Honestly, you do. The worst situation, you will find something. I guarantee you that. But you have to sincerely look for it. When you're saying that, really, you don't want to allow your hurt, your disappointment to interfere with finding that.
Right.
Yeah. Good.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Thank you, everybody.
Hi, Dr. Nerenberg.
Yes.
Hi, it's Jan.
Jan, thank you for being here, Jan.
I just wanted to say it seems like such an amazing approach, but it's so difficult. It's so difficult, especially when it is somebody who is extremely close to you, a family member.
Jan, let me interrupt you, Jan.
A repeat offender.
Jan, this is not for the weak.
But it's also unavoidable because of the relationship.
Jan, let me tell you something. You have to be strong. The things I'm telling you, you have to be strong. Most people are not strong enough to do this. Some of you are. This takes a complete commitment to honor. If you don't, you won't be able to do this. Even getting near the thought will start making you get more negative because you start going into all your bad stories that are true. So this is not for the weak. No. This is not for people that are weak. This is for people that are strong, which is not most people. But it's doable. I promise you that. It is doable. And I'm an example of doing it. And the results have been amazing, astounding. But you have to be totally committed to this, to do it. You're right, Jan. Very good point. Excellent point. Is there something you want to add to that or ask or say anything else?
No, I mean, it's just, I think it's all in practice and it's all in time. But definitely 100% is not for the weak.
So one way you prepare yourself for this, you have to repeat your commandments of honor 3 times a day for life. You do your bridge every day. That will take you there. Then, of course, watching my videos, talking with me or nurse practitioner Bert, getting a support group that will, and then reading the book, The Teachings of Honor, and just keep immersing yourself in that, turning to prayer, turning to God to strengthen you in it, if you believe in God. It takes a full commitment. You have to be totally sincere. If you're not 100% sincere, you'll go near some of these thoughts and you get carried away in an ocean of anger. Believe me, I've seen it. You're right. It's not for the weak. You have to be strong to do it. And I know many of you are strong. I've got people that I know who are doing it. Unbelievable. And I have so much respect and admiration for you. And it's my great delight to witness you doing it. I've seen many of you overcome things. And I sit there filled with love and awe watching you. It's more beautiful to me than the most beautiful sunrise or sunset, watching somebody step over or lift a mountain of resentment through the power of forgiveness. Oh, that's a miracle. I'm always astounded by it.
Here, can you hear me there?
Oh, here. Well, who is speaking, please?
Ruben.
Ruben. Yes, Ruben.
One of the things that I would like to share is what's worked for me. I'm going through a very, very tough situation. And I felt like I already knew how to forgive since I was younger. My father leaving us and things like that. And I have a great relationship with him, which is a little much different than my brothers with them. They have a decent relationship with him. But I believe is my dad taught me how to forgive.
Wow.
I forgave him.
He taught you, how did he teach you how to forgive? How did he teach you how to forgive? By abandoning you and then you've had to forgive him?
Yes.
So his abandonment, the best true story was, by dad abandoning me, I learned to forgive. Is that right?
Yeah.
See, that's the best true story about a tough situation. Exactly.
Being your dad, you still love him, you still want him. And he would come around and I'd have to forgive him. And it was just something natural that came through me, through God in me, who allowed me to be able to forgive and enjoy him the few times that I did see him. But that's not the tough time that I'm going through right now.
Okay.
Got married 25, 27 years ago. My wife abandoned me with my kids and I've had to forgive her in order for me to feel free. And one of the things
Ruben, let me say that, to repeat that. You forgave her so you can be free. That's what I want people to get. What a message that is. That's profound, Ruben. That is profound. He forgave her to be free. That's quotable. That shows what a beautiful heart you have and the wisdom. Very wise, Ruben. How old are you, Ruben?
48.
At a young age, 48, you arrived at that level of wisdom. Beautiful. Please continue.
I have 6 kids, and I think when you said, what is your purpose here in life? My purpose is to make a difference, to make a difference in other people's lives. And I have to start with my own kids. And one of the things that I preach to them is, you got to be able to forgive. You got to forgive your mom. She'll come around when she comes around. And
then do you share how do you forgive you had to forgive your dad, that you've been through it?
Pardon me?
Have you told them how you had to forgive your dad?
Yeah.
Good.
Definitely. So one of the things that I wanted to share that has helped me, and hopefully somebody can get something out of it, is forgiving somebody is not minimizing what they did.
That's right.
Forgiving somebody is not overlooking the past.
That's right.
And forgiving somebody doesn't mean that you reconciliate with them.
That's right. It means that you want to be free of that burden, and also you do it because God wants you to do that.
Yeah. And also, and last and foremost, forgiving is not an option. It's a demand.
It's a way of life. It's part of the way of honor. It's a way of life. I mean,
and I think that when we understand how forgiveness works, it's a lot easier for us to do it. Right now I heard one of the young ladies says, I've been having a hard time with it. And we all do. I don't want to minimize anybody's struggle with forgiving. But I think that when we understand how forgiveness works, it's easier for us to accomplish it.
Well, yes, it starts off with the words, I forgive you. And then that just keeps growing in you. I wish you well, which takes forgiveness to another level. And if possible, I love you, if possible, if you can go there. And then what's the best true story about my problem? And then the next, about this problem. And the next one is, I hope to respond much more to your vulnerability than your negativity. All of that takes you into levels of forgiveness. It's all part of the way of honor. Excellent, excellent, excellent points, Ruben. Ruben, that's a beautiful, beautiful contribution you made to all of us.
Can I add one last thing?
Please do.
I would always advise anybody I've come across that has ran into some issues with anything. Obviously, forgiving somebody, especially a mom, a dad, a son, a loved one, a spouse, it's extremely difficult. But one of the ways that I have been able to reach and be able to do that is to thank God every single day that I'm in that situation.
That's exactly the one I was using. God, I'm extremely grateful for the gift of trials and tribulations and betrayals that bring me closer to you, because it's through our suffering that we turn to God more, and it's through our suffering we achieve more wisdom and compassion. You can't become compassionate and wise without suffering. So that's part of the gift. Exactly, Ruben.
It also does something to you biologically. When you give thanks, it's and you should know this more than me. I mean, you know this more than me. You can probably explain it better. But when you're thanking, when you're going through a situation, you're giving thanks for the situation. It does something to your neurons, to the communication between your neurons, to where, I don't know if it gives you dopamine, serotonin, but it gives you the ability to see things in a brighter way.
It expands our perspective, expands our wisdom. Perspective expands. Also, our epigenes are what turn on and off different genes. So a person may have a gene that leans them towards cancer, but they can turn that off. It's not whether you have that gene or not, it's whether it's turned on or off. And the epigenes are in communication with that. And the epigenes are responsive to our feelings, what we say, our words and our thoughts and feelings. So these kinds of thoughts and words will turn off the cancer genes, turn on cancer-fighting genes like the P53 gene, which fights the cancer. So it has a direct thing. There's a lot of psychosomatic implications, a mind-body connection, exactly as you said. Very powerful. Exactly right. It leads to not only spiritual and emotional, but a physical implication and a physical change. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. Beautiful.
Thank you, Doctor, for the opportunity.
Well, thank you so much for what you said, Ruben. Thank you. Now, somebody else had something that was also speaking up. Or sometimes we get a couple of people speaking at once.
Hey there, Doctor.
Yes.
It's me, Brandon.
Brandon. Good to hear from you, Brandon.
Good to hear from you as well. So my wife and I have both dealt with a situation that you touched on earlier on, as far as basically our fathers not being there. Mine abandoned me when I was just an infant, and hers, unfortunately, didn't so much abandon her, not being there for her whole entire life, but just doesn't have a relationship with her whatsoever, because of the simple fact that he's reminded of my wife's mother too much. So
yes,
kind of
that happens a lot. Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So fast forward to our adult life. My aunt pretty much told me what had happened early on, and when I was a child and everything, of why my father, biological parent, I don't want to put the word father, but biological parent basically was not there. And, I just basically was kind of just, upset with the whole entire thing. But, I understood and just left it at that. But come to find out that he was actually, because of social media, has been actually stalking me on social media and seeing how I've grown and where I am at life right now, he just feels pretty much embarrassed to reach out. And my aunts tried to encourage him to, reach out.
How would you feel about you reaching out to him? Is that a possibility or not?
For me to reach out to him, I don't think that's in the cards.
Okay, I got you. I understand.
Yeah. So if he were to reach out to me, it'd be more of like, getting an understanding of, where we are in life as men and, going from there. But as far as like a continuing relationship, I don't, he's in Louisiana. I'm in California.
Well, let me tell you, I have somebody that I know exactly the same situation. Mm-hmm. And when he finally did meet his dad when he was in his 30s, his father reached out through an aunt, same with you, through an aunt. Mm-hmm. And he called, so then I forget whether his father says okay to call him or whether he ended up calling his father. I forget which way, though, and I think his father called him. Mm-hmm. And then it turned out the father said, I used to write to you all the time, but I don't think your mother gave you my letters. I'm not saying that applies to you at all. Yeah. But sometimes there's a story there that we don't know.
Yeah.
He may have a story. It might just be it might just be he's a deadbeat dad and whatever judgment somebody wants to make. But it could be there's a circumstance, and for all I know, maybe he did try to get in touch with you. Like this guy said he was trying, he sent a lot of letters. Yeah. And there's sometimes things that were so severe between the husband and wife that the person, I'm going to give you one for my family that will address this, okay? I'll tell you something that happened. Yeah. So my cousin Phil just recently passed away. Anyhow, my Aunt Ann raised him, and he never met his father. My cousin Phil never met his father. So about 15 years ago, I said, do you know his name or have his number? So he either gave me his name, I tracked the number down, or he gave me the number. I forgot which it was. So I called his father, and the father's wife, he had left Phil's mom and him. So his wife answered. And I said, Phil wants to meet his father. He doesn't, and she said, well, she got defensive, like, why? Why does he want to meet him? I said, he doesn't want anything. He doesn't need money or anything, just wants to meet his father. And she said, no, I'm not, no, there's no reason for him to ever talk. There's no reason to communicate. Don't ever call again. She hung up, and that was the last shot. So sometimes, and I'm not saying it was right, I'm not putting a judgment. Sometimes the person, in this case, the man found himself in a situation where his wife became had the control, got into domination. It's still on him, you could say, but still, she overpowered it. She wasn't going to let it happen.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not saying that excuses the father. Yeah. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying there are other circumstances. That was one I was personally involved with my cousin and his father. Mm-hmm. Never did meet his dad.
Pretty much, that's what I had thought early on as I got older, but that wasn't the case. But, I've kind of moved past it. But
good.
Basically dealing with my wife, with her father's situation, I know that it's basically affected her in, a few ways and everything that, kind of affects our relationship as well. Not something overbearing that we can't manage, but you can see things there that obviously a man can teach and everything that, not just the mother can just teach. And so I decided a couple years ago, now living in our dream house and everything and amongst our kids and all that, to surprise her and actually invite her father. So I basically, bought a plane ticket for him, bought a plane ticket for my brother-in-law to surprise her to basically, come out here and everything. Him and I had a conversation, man to man, like, hey, I have no ill will towards you. I just want you to be there for my wife. She just needs to have a conversation with you. If it's just, closing that chapter, that's fine. But she at least needs to, talk to you just to have that, off her heart.
Wow.
the guy, and speaking of betrayal, the guy basically, this is 6 months in advance and everything. At the very last minute on, the 1 yard line, he decides to no show and give a crappy excuse not to show. And my brother-in-law pretty much, told me like, I had a feeling this was going to happen. So told my wife, and it broke her heart. And so fast forward to now, I guess he's, getting his life back together. He has a farm and all that. And I guess, my wife's siblings are all trying to surprise him, and my wife wants to go to surprise him and everything. But she's asked me to join. But me being me, after I shared with, my experience with my father and then that experience that just happened and everything, I told her, thanks, but no thanks. And so
you're not going, but she's going.
Yeah. And I said, you can go if you want to. But for me personally, because of that situation, I don't think that's okay for me to go. I know she wants me to be there. So my advice, my question to you, what would you do in that situation?
Well, let me tell you, with my ex-wife, never knew her real father. She thought her stepfather was a father. She found out when she was 12 that wasn't her real father.
Same here.
So I called the guy. I called him one day, and again, he got defensive. And I said, wait a minute. First, he said, I thought I had a son. I said, no, you had a daughter. Because he left, because the mother left him. I think she had an affair or something. She left him when she was pregnant. I guess she was pregnant with my ex-wife. So I said, just want you to know, she doesn't want anything from you. She just wants to know you more. Is that doable? So he started talking to me. He drives a truck. He had 4 daughters with his wife and whatnot. Nice guy. And then my ex, I think eventually met him once, or met her half siblings. I don't think anything continued from it. But so I participated in that. But I don't have your trauma. My father was there for me all the days of his life. So I come from a different background. I can't say, hey, I'm doing this. I think you should do it. I would say, I'll put it to you this way. Brandon. What do you think is the most honorable thing to do? Forget about what you want or don't want. What do you feel is the most honorable thing to do?
Oh, God, I hate this.
I'm just asking.
Be there for my wife.
That's what seems to me, but I don't want to say it because it has to come from you. I would say, you asked me the question. I wasn't trying to put anything on you, but it sounds that way, that would be. Now, you may pay a price for it emotionally, or it might turn out better than you imagine. But I think when you follow the way of honor, you have to do things that you don't want to do. Like when I went up to that guy that ripped me off, that psychologist, when at the meeting, I told Bert, who was with me, I said, I don't want to talk to this guy. But honor demands it. He was amazed. I went over, I shook his hand and talked to him. I didn't want to do it, but honor demanded I go over there and talk to him. I wasn't going to pretend I don't see him. He was in the front over here, and I'm here in the audience watching the speaker. I went over, and then, as I say, at the end, he came over to me, thanking me for coming over to him. So sometimes we have to do things we don't want to do. I think you'd be surprised the result of that, in terms of your relationship with your wife and your relationship with yourself.
I appreciate it, Doc. Thank you.
That's my input. Let me know what you decide, what you do.
Yeah, I'll definitely let you know. And another thing, shout out to the missus. She took that poem that I read to you guys a long time ago.
Oh, yeah, that was a beautiful poem.
Made it into a canvas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
So.
No, text me. Let me know, because I'm very interested.
Yeah, I'll send you a picture.
In fact, now that I remember, because I know Bert's been seeing you lately, you're a deep guy. Definitely for you, it's the most honorable thing to do. Absolutely. Now that I know, remembering who you are exactly, yeah, absolutely. You're too deep to turn away from it.
Yeah.
I think you're going to do it. I'm not saying do it. I just think you're going to do it. Because if you didn't want to do it at all, you wouldn't even have asked me what I think.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you were asking me, because you weren't against it. Yeah, you were just saying, hey, that's going to be hard for me. I wanted to fly him out. He backed out of it. My father betrayed me. He's betrayed. My wife betrayed me by not, trying to BS me about why he's not coming out. So you already have a pretty bad story about this guy. I understand, and a justified bad story. At the same time, it is the most honorable thing to do, as you have said. Thank you for that, Brandon.
Appreciate you, Doctor. Thank you.
Appreciate you very much. Anybody else have anything you want to ask or say?
I think I might have something to say, Doc. It's Kevin.
Kevin. Excellent, Kevin.
Hi, how's everybody doing?
All right.
Well, so the one thing I've been picking up from everybody, obviously this entire topic is just basing it on forgiveness. This is a past event that I had already pre-experienced with a very close friend of mine. A guy betrayed me. I ended up catching him kissing one of my ex-girlfriends at the time. And I didn't talk to him for a while. It took months for me to muster the courage to face him, talk to him about what it is that ended up happening. And I kind of just the way that someone else explained it to me is that I need to forgive him for myself.
That's it. That's what Brandon was saying. That's yes. Right.
Yeah, I needed to forgive him for myself and not for what it is that he did. And I need to forgive him for me to feel better, because it's more or less me forgiving myself for putting myself through all of those emotions and feeling what it is that I had felt, just for us to finally reconnect. It made a bunch of sense for me to finally forgive that friend, because
okay, let me ask you this. You forgave him, which is the way of honor. Are you still friends?
Yes, we are.
Well, there you go. It was an ex. It wasn't a current girlfriend.
Yeah. It was an ex at the time. She was a current girlfriend at the time. I stopped talking to him and stopped being friends with the guy, and obviously with her as well. But in the end, I felt like I was missing a little piece of myself. So
there you go. And now you're friends together. Yeah. What did he say when you spoke? Did you say, "Hey, I forgive you"? What was the conversation?
It was a difficult conversation, because I have a conversation with his wife as well. She was present at the time, and
so he was married to her when he kissed your ex-girlfriend.
Yes, of course she was. Yeah, she was really upset. I was upset about it, but it was a big learning curve.
And she was your ex-girlfriend at the time, that girl. She was not. She was an ex. Okay.
Yeah, okay. At that time. Yeah, this happened 2 years ago, but I just wanted to just share my piece, because I don't know if anybody is going through something similar, but one thing that I did learn from that experience is definitely outweigh the pros and the cons and who is that you wanted in your life, and kind of just choose to forgive them, because you think that they bring you more benefit than con.
Well, listen, whether he brings you benefit or not, it's still good for you to forgive him. I want to ask you something. 100%. What did he say when you talked to him?
He was very apologetic. He's like, "Hey, you know what? I apologize for what it is that I did. It was out of character for me. I had been drinking at the time. It doesn't give him an excuse, but it's but that's kind of what he was, just very, very apologetic.
So his being genuine remorse helped, didn't it?
Yeah. Then he apologized to me in front of his wife. His wife apologized as well.
Well,
but it was a really difficult situation, but I just think that for some of those that are having issues with forgiveness, it's definitely forgive them for yourself instead of just for them, because they're going to live with that guilt no matter what. But if you can manage to move past that on your own, I'm pretty sure everybody's going to be able to sleep a little bit better at night.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. Absolutely, no doubt about it. None. My wife said, "I wish I'd known you before you married your ex." And I said, "Oh, no. I said, I wasn't the right guy at that time. I had to go through that. I have 4 children, a lot of torment. And that was necessary for me to be the right guy for you and for me to recognize who you are." So it was extremely painful what I went through with the betrayals they had with her. But I wish her well, and it allowed me to recognize my wife and be the right man for my wife. So that's the best true story about a very painful past situation. Yeah, I do sincerely wish her well. Have for many years.
It's tough. It's really tough.
Oh yeah.
Forgiving is like you guys had said, like forgiving it's a grown up topic. It's really difficult. It's a tough pill to swallow, and
it's only for the strong. You're a powerful man. You're a powerful man.
Thank you, Doc.
Powerful. That's power. That's power.
It was tough. It was.
Yeah,
a very
but
tough
that's strength. That's strength. You're a strong man. Strong man.
Thank you, Doctor. But I just want to give my 2 cents. And
you made a wonderful contribution. Listen, many of the people I know of are going to benefit from it. I can tell you right now.
Like one of the things that I had learned from it is like, and this is a problem a lot of folks have, and I've been guilty for it, but it's like just swallowing your pride, swallowing your ego, moving past that to
the way exactly. Now, the way I describe it is putting honor before pride.
Exactly.
What I say, the supremacy of honor code is honor before pride, honor before anger, honor before sex, honor before money, honor before fear, honor before everything, honor before life itself. That's the supremacy of honor code. It's all in the book, The Teachings of Honor. Yeah, yeah. Excellent. Thank you so much, really.
Thank you, Doc.
That's amazing. Thank you.
I was betrayed by an ex-wife.
Now we're hearing from Hugh. He was betrayed by an ex-wife. Yes, Hugh.
It took a long time to forgive her.
Okay.
It took a real long time.
How long did it take you to forgive her? Years. But you eventually did.
I eventually did. It just, it allowed me to change the situation by creating a bunch of jokes about her.
Yeah, Hugh was very funny. His ex-wife jokes are really funny. To this day, many years later. And he was married to the love of his life, to Cheryl, who passed away recently. And would you say, I'm going to ask you this question, would you say going through the experience with the ex helps you recognize who Cheryl is and how valuable she is?
Yes.
See,
appreciate the right girl.
Made him appreciate the right girl. So that's the best true story about the pain and the betrayal that you went through, isn't it? Mm-hmm. There you go. Again, that's the approach, the best true story about it. He really had a beautiful marriage with Cheryl. Beautiful. Very devoted to each other. Beautiful relationship. And that ex helped him recognize who she is and for him to become the right person. Unbelievable. Yeah. Now, he was able to look, Cheryl was a nice looking woman, but I'm sure your ex was even better looking, right? By far better looking, but it took him beyond looks. Would you say that helped you go beyond just looking at looks?
Yes.
So he went and saw the heart of this woman, Cheryl, her value system, her character. That helped him do that. So in a way, you could be even grateful to your ex. Is that pushing it too much?
It's pushing it a little.
It's pushing it a little, but I'm recommending the gratitude. But listen, if it led to you having Cheryl, I think, in addition to being really upset with her, I would think it would be appropriate to also be grateful to her, because she was a big part of you moving forward in life, looking beyond the skin deep beauty, looking at the beauty of the heart.
I'm grateful to her for leaving me alone.
I'm grateful for leaving you alone. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Well, it's been my pleasure, my privilege, my enjoyment to present to you Family Betrayal and Forgiveness, A Journey of Honor.
The sea of destiny is in your deepest struggle. God's will and mine be one, and I wish you well. You are co-creator, respectfully real. There's a way in the valley that turns weakness to steel. We're known through all eternity, from strife we gain power, clothed in grace and love, disciples of honor. All the days of our lives refuse the way of shame. We wish nobody harm, have no one to blame. Your high calling will be done, and pure eyes now glow. In darkness crave the good, like waters from the desert flow. I pledge my love all the days of my life. I pledge my soul to all that is good. I pledge my heart to my brothers and sisters, who I join in the light, leave a legacy of honor. We're known through all eternity, from strife we gain power, clothed in grace and love, disciples of honor. All the days of our lives refuse the way of shame. We wish nobody harm, have no one to blame. Your high calling will be done, and pure eyes now glow. In darkness crave the good, like waters from the desert flow.